Hey guys, today we're going to talk about The Black Hole. Disney's The Black Hole. Sorry about that. I didn't really watch this a lot. I actually kind of forgot I had it in my thing until I started going through and looking at what I had to do these little vlogs for. But I watched it a few hours ago. It's pretty good. It's from 1979, so it's like right around when Star Wars came out, or like 2 years afterwards. This is actually really interesting because, first of all, it says it's an anniversary edition. The case is blue, and it's really interesting because it's got the traditional stuff on the back, and then you take this out, and it gives you more info on the stuff. Talks about, like, you know, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, stuff like that. A bunch of other stuff that doesn't... It's kind of important. But that's more historical stuff about the film and why it came out and everything like that. So there's some names that people might know in this. Anthony Perkins from Psycho. Ernest Borgnine. Michael Schell. And then Roddy McDowell. He was in the Planet of the Apes movies. He does the voice of the robot Vincent that travels with them. And of course the tape's in good condition, plays well. There's a bit of a tracking issue when I first popped it in, but that solved itself almost immediately. Case is good. It's another plastic case, but it doesn't rattle as much as the other ones I have. Now the film is interesting because on the case it says it's a response to Star Wars and that craze. But the interesting thing is it still does the generic conventions of like 70s sci-fi. The slow movements, the beige colored sets and everything like that. Kind of like the goofy stuff every so often thrown in there, and like all the religious undertones and everything like that. Not to say that that's not exciting or anything, but it's just not... They make it up to be like, oh, it's their response to Star Wars, but I think what they really meant to say was like response to the high demand of sci-fi that came out at the time. But, so basically we start off with this crew that's just kind of going through space, and then they get tractor beamed into this other ship, and this really gorgeous looking model. I love whenever the lights go on it. It's fantastic looking. And it's overlooking this black hole. No humans are on board. And there's this doctor that's like, oh, I sent all the crew away, and I'm the only one observing this black hole. And the rest of the film is just kind of generic, like, oh, something's afoot on the ship. And, you know, there's some really cool robot costumes that I like. The color palette is really gross. It's like, if I had to sum it up, it's like a middle school from the 70s. That's the only way I can put it. Like, and it's really gross colors, but that might just be my TV and the fact that it's a VHS tape. And color correction really wasn't a thing for VHS tapes. But other things I liked were, I felt it was paced pretty well for a 70s sci-fi movie. They don't shy away from, like, not everyone makes it out, and I like that. There's some sense of urgency and everything, and that's pretty interesting. They do go through the black hole. There's some goofier moments with, like, there's this scene with the robot Vincent who has these, like, he looks like a trash compactor, and they make reference to that, but he's got this thing that pops up, and then he's got like eyes drawn on him, like cartoon eyes. It's adorable, but he's great. There's a scene where he's with the other robots on the ship, and they're like this shooting gallery that looks like a laser tag game from 1997, and they're just like firing away at it, and it's goofy. And I know it's supposed to be like, wow, technology in the future is exciting, but it's just comes off as kind of lackluster because of how times have changed. But other than that, the effects are really good. I really love the effects. Sometimes you can see where, like, they did the matte paintings and stuff, but that's because it's a VHS tape and it's not touched up at all, or a little bit, if anything. Other than that, I'd say it's pretty solid. I'd say it's a pretty solid film. It's a little weird at times because the sets will go from, like, you know, generic industrial-looking hallway to really gorgeous sets with a lot of you know, a lot of blinking lights and panels and all this stuff and huge sets, and it looks gorgeous, and then they walk down another beige hallway for like 20 minutes or a whole scene. So that's a little iffy for me, and then the ending is just it just kind of ends. It's really weird because the one doctor, he goes into the black hole, and he goes into the black hole, and then he ends up in hell, and it's really creepy. Just because like the camera moves very slowly around it, there's a lot of fire and everything. You can't make out any real human characters besides him. And then it goes back to our heroes, which escape, but they just kind of make it out of the black hole, and then the movie decides to end. But I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10 if I were to really put it on there. But I definitely recommend checking it out because it's really interesting. It's one of those interesting live-action Disney movies. And honestly, it was pretty good for what it was. Yeah, definitely recommend checking it out. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.